board members.
I love the teams.
This is Paul and Tracy.
Like to sit on.
Oh.
Yes.
Some people.
Well, right, and I apologize. for that. I had, it really is.
They're, I believe, in different places in the hall.
And it's just a winter
Sure,
wonderful
absolutely.
me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't know it was gonna.
And they can come back too, if that's the case. We removed them because of COVID, because of the social distancing.
Hey, good job.
Yeah, we did it, I guess.
would agree.
Halfway.
Everything is well said.
Which is that they're
No, I
working from.
haven't. I still got to talk about that.
So, and he's gonna be co-sponsor, not going anywhere. Okay, don't worry,
Yeah.
don't lose this.
What if I had a Y to them all?
Break, too.
Love is a 4-letter word.
Yeah,
Here you go.
right, I'm on.
We'll rely on your discretion, Mr. Ford. Is that a dangerous thing?
Is this going to be a fun meeting?
Yes, of course. Well, now with Cheryl and Ron and
Oh,
Bill,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, how could it be anything else?
half a minute. If you thought that last thing was confusing, you should have been in our first meeting.
So
We,
I had to change my tea time.
okay. Let me pull up my sheet here first before I go crazy.
Hello.
That is great. I'm glad I've got that. Wow. So if they didn't have Tony as their manager, they'd really be rolling.
All right. Well, the time being well past our appointed time, I have 11:41. My name's Chris Caius. I'm going to call the Riverboat Committee for Kane County to order on Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. And I believe we have everyone here. Can we have, Mr. Dahl is here. Can you call a roll for us, please?
Sure. Caius,
Caius present.
Berman,
Berman here.
Ford, Leonard,
Leonard here.
Strathman.
Strathman here.
Well, that sounds like a quorum. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the Riverboat Committee, May 13th, 2021?
Ford moves. Ford second.
Cord moved. Dale second. Berman second. Did you get that, Chris?
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Then, Mr. Recorder, go ahead and call roll.
Sure. Caius,
Caius, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Okay, thank you. That passes. Item 3 is consideration of the fiscal year 2021 external grant requests. And maybe you could start off, Mr. Berger, is he online? Or
Yes,
Mr. Dahl?
yes,
Okay,
good
Mr.
morning.
Berger, if you'd please. And before you start, can I make sure that everybody got the updated? I'm getting nods here. Everybody's okay on it. Okay, then lead on, Mr. Berger.
Absolutely. So just to give the committee a brief update. So since your last meeting a week ago, several of you have provided us with updated second round recommended amounts. And Chris has averaged those figures and entered them on our spreadsheet. You should see that spreadsheet on your overhead screen in the boardroom, as well as streaming online. I can see it on my screen. And with the revised recommendations, we see that the recommended allocation amounts for 14 of the projects went down slightly, 12 allocations went up, and 1 was not changed from your previous figures a week ago. Overall, you are recommending a total allocation of $560,565. This amount is just shy of your budgeted amount of $569.58. So your combined round 1 and round 2 recommendations do result in a tally that is within your budgetary authority for the current fiscal year. Chris has provided you at the far right of your spreadsheet. Chris has provided you with the percentage of the applicant's request that you collectively have arrived at. And I want to emphasize that these figures in the column that's highlighted yellow really represent just a snapshot of your collective thought regarding the amounts you would like to see allocated for these various projects, these 27 activities. This is intended to be the basis on which you initiate your discussions today. And we are looking for you to hopefully conclude those deliberations in this meeting and vote on a combined recommended amount with specific allocations listed so that we can take that recommendation from your group and submit that to the County Board's Executive Committee in the form of a resolution that presumably would be picked up by that committee and sent on to the full board next month for consideration. Thank you. We'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Berger or Mr. Dahl? Okay, well, I think what we will do is approach this hopefully somewhat systematically and get a consensus on, we can either go top to bottom or least amount to most amount, or if any of the board members or committee members have a question about any particular allocation, maybe that's how we should start. If if no one brings up, I'm inclined to say that this is fine for me. I approve all of them. Let's, but if anybody would like to suggest for reasoning, at least that's the board we'll start at, is that they're all approved. Let's, if they have any questions on any one of them, let's discuss that, and then we can address those individual ones. And then if the rest of them seem fine, we'll just pass the board. But it's going to be by consensus. So, Ms. Strathman, you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I would like to start by bringing to the committee the discussion of the ask from the group called Go With the Flow. In doing my homework and reading about this group, it coincided with the bill that I just talked about in the Legislative Committee, which is House Bill 511 that has been brought forward by State Rep Barbara Hernandez. And that is, this group is a group that supplies feminine hygiene products for 14 schools in Elgin, and then also civic organizations, community organizations such as Hesed House, Community Crisis Center, Ecker Center. And this was a very low ask on their part. And this is a problem that many people are not aware of. And that is that the American Medical Association for Women's Health has coined a new phrase called period poverty, which is a problem in that feminine hygiene products are not, people who receive funds for food supplements such as SNAP, they're not allowed to buy feminine hygiene products with those funds. And the American Medical Association for Women's Health has deemed this a mental health issue. And I think that this is such a low ask and such a crucial part in so many aspects of these young women's lives. And not only the young women, but women who find themselves at the crisis center unexpectedly, or other services like that, that they supply them with these supplies. And this is a biological function that half the population of our country has to deal with on a regular basis. And I think that I would like to see this group receive their full ask. It's a very low amount. And we moved up from round 1 to round 2, but I personally would like to see, based on that information, I would like to see this receive the full ask.
Well, why don't we take our $393 as the amount remaining and apply that, and that'll make it $7 from the original.
That's pretty close. I would approve that.
If the motion is in line, I would make a motion to do that. Or do we want to wait until we talk about all the different things?
Mr. Chairman, do we need a resolution on this today? No, so this is going to be,
We'll have a final resolution when we're all done, but.
then we should probably have a motion to discuss as we're doing right now in a
Oh, okay,
second.
sure. Point
I
of-
I'll
move
move.
Mr. Leonard, Mr. Leonard
For approval of our
Berman.
and Berman second.
recommendation.
So I'll just say ditto, what I just said.
Yeah, I think, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I think that's a very worthwhile cause. I support it 100%. I think we should increase the amount we allocate from 1,100 to 1,500. I think we can take a couple dollars away from somewhere else to handle that. And on that point, I would like to bring up my only concern. I'm happy with everything on this except for the city of Aurora in Tier 2. And the reason why I'm against the amount that we're giving to them is over the last 5 years, we've given them on the average about $13,000 a year. Number one, this is an operational expense. It is not a capital expense. And number two, they're a taxing body. And if we are going to start giving grants to taxing bodies because they can't fund their needed projects, we're going to open up Pandora's box. So I would, kindly recommend that under the city of Aurora, I think we're allocating in the final recommendation 18,000, that maybe we reduce that to the average for the last 5 years of roughly 13,000. add 400 to go with the flow so that they're max out, and then keep the balance in arrears or reserve for next year, because I think the funds are going to go down again next year.
So
Mr. Chairman?
just to
Oh, go
review
ahead.
that, just
Go
a
ahead.
second on that one. You have suggested raising the go with the flow to 1,500, which is a $400 addition,
Yes.
Their full ask.
their full ask. And Mr. Leonard has requested that we drop the City of Aurora some $5,000.
Correct.
5,500.
And so just so that we understand what we're talking about, and Mr. Ford, do you have any questions about any of the?
Yes, just trying to see if Mr. Leonard will agree to, instead of down to 13, we do it down to 15?
Absolutely.
And then my suggestion would be to look. That's not.
Self-destructing.
All right, then my suggestion would be to look at the University of Illinois Extension of King County, since that's such a large amount, or, yeah, and take the balance that we needed from there. And I guess we're gonna add, will we add in the amount that remains to it also to,
What are you saying?
Well, we would be taking away only 400, we've minus 400 and we've gained 5,000. If we
Well, no,
do
we're
that.
changing that to 15,000 from the
18. Oh,
13,000, so 3,000.
Excuse me, 3,000. That's why math is my strong subject there. To 3,000. So we're talking about taking just 400 for the,
Go with the flow.
be a minus,
yeah.
for the go with the flow.
I
and
believe
then
we're at 12.
3,000. We gained 3,000 by dropping.
City of Aurora
Aurora.
from 18 to 15,000.
And then you were suggesting what, Mr. Ford, on the,
Remaining balance that we have, which is, I think was mentioned before, the 300 and,
It would be, yeah,
yeah,
393 was the original,
yes.
you mean?
well,
Chairman Caius, if you would like, we can have Tracy Glassford share her screen with you. She is tracking the proposed revisions that you folks are discussing right now.
That would be
And you can
great.
see in real time exactly what the calculation and tabulation looks like. Tracy, could we ask you to share your screen with the group?
I'd like to say anyway, that I think of all of the, I think any one of these is worthwhile of the, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure that the committee agrees with me. It's just that the, and I should have said this at the very beginning, this is a very difficult choice, and I understand that, and I'm sure people will as well, that we have had a decline in our revenues, so it's making it difficult to stretch it to all of these worthwhile causes. We can't give everybody everything. So I thank you for your working on this together. And so on that, are we getting the table up?
Yes,
to where-
Tracy has shared her screen with the group. I can see it. I believe it's being broadcast right now. It should be on your screen as well.
Right.
Tracy, I would ask if you could drop in some tabulation totals there for grand total and amount remaining so that the group can see at the bottom of column S.
2992.
Oh, I see that actually is already reflected. Okay, so Tracy's made an adjustment in the first blue column, and you can see here the negative 3,000, the positive 400 that you've suggested. And then in column Q, you can see what that revised tabulation comes to. So right now you are just under your budget by approximately $3,000.
Yes. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Leonard?
Now, Mr. Ford had suggested that maybe we take that surplus of 2993 and put it into the University of Illinois Extension, Kane County. Is that what you'd like to do, Mr.
No,
Ford?
I was trying to add it to meet our,
Well, we've already added the 400 in to go with the flow.
okay.
Yeah, that's a minus.
So we've added 400 to that. We subtracted 3,000 from the city of Aurora. So we now have a surplus of $2,993. And we can either put that in reserve for next year, or we can use it for the, as Mr. Ford suggested, the University of Illinois Extension.
And the University of Illinois Extension is I think you mentioned it earlier, it's
Matching
a
fund.
matching fund so that anything we put in there is better for them in it.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Rathman?
my thought is to not hold over money. This has been an exceptional year. We have a lot of people in need, and I would like to spend every dime we have, if that's what the committee decides.
I agree. I agree with that.
Thank
No,
you.
carrying over.
I concur also. So put that $2,993 that we have in surplus into the University of Illinois Extension. Would that be agreeable?
That would be
Agreeable.
agreeable to me, but whatever the committee decides on would work. I just think we shouldn't try to save it this year. This is not a year to be concerned with that.
Mr. Chairman, how do you feel about that?
I agree that that the need is great. I think that there's no reason to roll it over.
Yeah.
Well, we're horse trading right now, so if you have a point that you'd like to make, that you have something that you think would add to the conversation as opposed to, I'm sure about questions. Okay, absolutely.
I'm looking at the percent of request. It looks like CASA got the lowest request of percent of request at 63 of the top tier.
Of
So,
the top tier, yes.
so
They were asking for $100,000.
Actually, it appears that the University of Illinois currently is, according to your recommendation, receiving 59% of the amount they requested.
Right.
oh, okay.
So it would be the least.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
The
good.
small
All right.
numbers are hard to read.
And I believe CASA is the highest amount that we're giving any one entity.
Right.
Everything's relative to what they're requesting, so. you know,
Yeah.
Yes.
percentage is
And
probably
the
most
resource
easy.
fund.
Right.
I see.
So in the first round, Ms. Strathman is the go with the flow. Mr. Leonard, City of Aurora, and we're talking about putting it into the U of I.
Yes.
And I would have one suggestion, is that I know that the very lowest one we're doing is Anderson Animal Shelter, which is approximately 4% of the ask for them, which is really low. I think that we at 4% and what they're budgeting would be a very insignificant amount, and I think that maybe we could address some of the other maybe certainly maybe not more worthy, but maybe more, they can accomplish more with that $4,000 than the animal shelter. I'm not sure I would say where to put it. There are certainly a number of them that are low on their asks.
Mr. Caius?
But I would suggest we take the 4,000 out of Anderson.
I can't believe that I'm saying no to puppies and kitties. I think in this year that, and their ask of $100,000 was just 1% of their total budget. And they have a lot of resources, and I think they're a fine organization. I've used them a lot, but this is a year that I think that money might be better spent elsewhere.
I'm sorry, which one did,
Anderson, it's the very
Animal
top one
shelter.
on
Tier
the
two.
tier 2.
okay. No, I didn't hear what she said. I'm sorry. I was,
And where would you suggest,
Did you
Mr.
not hear what she said?
right.
That
You need me to repeat?
Please.
Well, what I said is I can't believe I'm saying no to kitties and puppies. That's where I started.
Okay.
But I think that Anderson Animal Shelter, excuse me, their ask of $100,000 was just 1% of their total budget. I think they're a fine organization, and I think their proposal was very well written. But I think that in this year, if the $4,000 to Anderson could be better spent elsewhere. And I'm open to where we would do that.
my personal suggestion would be Friends of the Fox, but that's my favorite one, so.
which is fine. I mean, I
I
concur.
would suggest Friends of the Fox. I think that they've been rated here possibly just slightly low because they don't qualify, or they qualify low in eligibility, but they do provide not only education, which is one of the E's, but they do a lot of environmental work. We're doing a lot of volunteer work, organizing volunteers and cleaning up the Fox River. So if there was one that I would recommend, it would be Friends of the Fox. They're getting approximately 53% of their ask, which is to also build a capital project, which is to work on the Schweitzer House, which is on our forest preserve and serves as a community center where there's a lot of meetings and things like that. And Ms. Bates has a comment.
Chairman,
I'm glad I invited you.
I can't believe I'm saying no to an environmental issue.
Yes.
But after the discussion we had in the public health today about the extreme need for health, mental health services, I would recommend that this, any extra go to the Association for Individual Development, AID.
Okay, you don't get a voice, but thank you.
I know I don't.
You're cut off now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll cut off.
Cut off my energy and environment.
environment. Mavis.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Ms. Bates. You're always welcome, sorry.
Madam Chairman Parag said we're invited to all the committees.
You are, and you're always welcome to speak,
Mr. Chairman.
as long as it doesn't disagree with me. No, no, not true.
Mr. Chairman, so
Mr. Leonard,
what we're looking at, to summarize everything, if I may, is we're increasing Go With The Flow $400 to $1,500. We are decreasing the city of Aurora from $18,000 to $15,000, which leaves us with a surplus of $2,993. The suggestion by Ms. Strathman was, let's take the 4,000 out of the Anderson Animal Shelter, that 4,000, it's 0.4% of their need. And I agree 100% with that. So I think that should be deleted. The question is now, do we follow the chairman's request of the Friends of the Fox River, or do we consider the recommendation by Ms. Bates of the Association for Individual Development on that $4,000? That is the decision we have to make.
or another, or
I
put it somewhere else.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I actually was gonna ask to have it split between the mental health and also the food pantry, the Northern Illinois Food Pantry, because those are the two I see that serve multiple people. And the food pantry actually service a lot of the other food pantries throughout the county. So that was the thoughts I had.
Mr. Chairman.
That's a Northern Illinois Food Bank you're talking about,
And the AID.
which we are, let's see, Northern Illinois Food Bank, running the line across here. We were given about 45% of their ask, which was for a truck, I think,
Or a new truck.
and yeah. Well,
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, at our church, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, this past last summer, we did a pop-up food pantry across the street from it, which is on the corner of New York and Smith. And one of the problems I had was getting the food to the church. So I had to borrow a friend of mine's truck who happened to own La Quinta restaurant in Aurora. He was very giving for me to come pick up his truck, load it up with food and milk and stuff, and borrow it for that evening. So I can see where the truck is needed for these pantries. Transportation is a big problem.
they seem to be getting, I mean, they do get a lot of food just from the government, so,
And they
but
need to
it
get
is
rid of it.
transportation.
Right,
And
and what they found out,
capital
they
thing.
need to get rid of it like right now.
Right.
Before it goes bad.
so we had that money and we were talking about, I was talking about putting it in Friends of the Fox, and we have a suggestion to split it
Right. Yes.
between the the Northern Illinois Food Bank and
AID.
Association for Individual Development.
is there discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Ms. Strathman.
Are we talking about splitting just the 4,000 between those two and then the other, the 299, wherever that was?
I think a total of 69.93, isn't it?
Or split the whole amount?
Are we taking this in
We can't,
What's
we
the
can't,
math?
whatever we want to do.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, it was just
Yeah.
splitting the 4,000.
Oh, just
And I
split the
can't hear you.
4,000? Okay,
He's saying just split the
split
4,000.
the 4,000.
Okay, thank you.
So we take that away from Anderson and we split it into, does that sound like a consensus then? Half for AID, half for the Northern Illinois Food Bank?
Yes.
And we do have,
Tracy's making those edits right now, as you can see.
let's do that. Thank you, Tracy. This is great. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
I wouldn't be able to do this.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, so now we have, when she's done there, certainly.
So now you have further revisions to your recommendations with a balanced budget of 560,958.
Does balance.
Yes.
So that balances it out then?
Mhm.
Correct.
Are there any other suggestions for changes? Mr. Berman, I don't think I've heard.
Well, no, hey, we're talking such insignificant amount in some of these, it doesn't really make much difference.
You're just a little fuzzy. Can you speak into your microphone or?
Well,
Sorry.
I think that we're talking about some insignificant amounts to what's
small.
been requested. So whatever they want is fine. I think that I want to come up with giving it all away, and we all have special things. But I'm satisfied with what we have, and my motion was to give it all away. So
Yeah, and so we are balanced, but I'm asking if there's any changes you would think would be logical. Not, we can't spend any more. We'd have to take somebody's from one to move it to another.
Mr. Chairman, this is Chris Dahl.
Okay,
I
yes.
think we still have the 393 available. Am I right about that?
no.
No, we shouldn't have.
I see it on the bottom.
No,
here.
in column Q, at the bottom of that column, the last blue cell reflects the grand total of the committee's current recommendation of 560, 958, which does equal the budgeted amount.
Okay,
that's-
I just saw the 393 next to it on the left there. I wasn't sure where that number came from.
Well, that's because the consensus of the committee with their recommendations initially left $393 on the table. Today's revisions make use of those funds.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
All right, then, before I get too hangry here, let's see, it's getting late. This is what I'm getting is the consensus is for what we have on the charts there. We've moved some around. We feel comfortable, although we'd certainly love to give more. We'd like to be able to provide more. These are certainly worthwhile causes. Then I will entertain, let's see, we have a motion.
Yes, we have a motion.
We had a motion and a
We
second.
have a motion and a second.
Roll call now.
And I have a consensus from everyone, and speak up now or forever hold your peace, that this is the division for the external grants. Okay, just give me a chance. All right. Great. Then roll call, please, Mr. Dahl.
Sorry, had to unmute. Caius,
Caius, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Well, that
All right.
that passes. That's our external grants that we're recommending that the Riverboat go to. And I thank you as committee members, and I thank you for sticking with us on the mathematics and getting it right and staying affirmative and happy about this. And I thank you, Mr. Berger, Mr. Dahl, for guiding us through this. I can't imagine how they used to do it when they used to take the whole thing and try and hash it out, even if they had a lot of money.
Berman comments.
Yeah, that was excellent, excellent exercise. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Berman,
Oh, Berman, yes.
I must say that Scott has done a good job, and Chris, having been on committees in the past, that we had to go through and research each of those ourselves and then come up with this kind of a decision. They made it so much easier, and I think the automation of it was fantastic. And they certainly should be commended for the efforts put in to making it easier for the committee. It's still difficult to decide which is more important than the other. But I think we demonstrated that we all feel there's a great number of requests and a great number that are meaningful requests. So I think great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
we
you, Mr.
thank you
Herman.
for your positive feedback. We will take your recommendations from this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, and we will incorporate those into a county board resolution, introduce that on the June 2nd executive committee agenda. That's where you'll see this next. Thank you very much.
Goes to exec. All right. Thank you very much. All
Thank you.
meeting. We get a motion and a second to move.
Move to adjourn.
Leonard, move.
Strathman second.
Strathman, second. You had enough on
All right.
it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks again. Yeah, did you?
Thank you. Have a good
You
afternoon.
can't vote, Mavis. You can say, you can talk. You can't vote.
Goodbye.
Oh, that's Blair's.
Ron.